Good afternoon, everybody, and hello, everybody who's out there in different parts of Australia. It's my absolute thrill and delight to be part of your monthly forum here at Bankwest. Today, I'd like to talk to you about an aspect of technology that is really going to be transformative to human society. You know, there's so many cool technologies that are being deployed right now, but in a short amount of time, I really had to hone down and pick the ones that I thought would have the widest impact to the most industries and to each of us as individuals. And I decided to focus on AI and robotics because, in my view, that combination, it's really, robots are just an aspect of AI, they're going to impact all of our lives and all of our businesses in some way or another. So I'd like to start by just giving you my definition of artificial intelligence. To me, it's an umbrella term. It encompasses a lot of different things. It encompasses things like machine learning and deep learning and natural language processing and voice recognition and image recognition and facial detection and emotion detection, whether through the expression on your face, the words that you use, the tone of your voice, the cadence of your words. It encompasses chatbots. It encompasses smart robots and driverless cars and a whole lot more. And it's one of the technologies that is truly driving innovation across many, many different vertical industries. Now, when it comes to AI, one of the things that it's absolutely fantastic at is taking massive data sets, and when you combine it with analytics, allowing you to derive insights from it that you could not possibly as a human being derive on your own. We just don't have the capacity to take terabytes or exabytes of data in a matter of seconds and process it. And it's very good at pattern recognition, anomaly detection, all sorts of things that basically you take these big data sets and you now can derive actionable insights from them in real time. So how many of you, just out of curiosity, are in the tech division in Bankwest? Just raise your hand. Yep. Have any of you played around with AI at all? Fewer hands. Well, if any of you are curious whether you're in the tech division or not, one of the leaders in the AI space, and there are many, but IBM has been in the AI space for decades with Watson, and you may recall back in the 1990s, winning the chess match with Big Blue, really the first time an AI sort of won against a human challenger, and then it won Jeopardy and so on. Their Watson AI program is now cloud-based as well. And they very recently have made a version of it available, like a light version, for free to play around with. So literally you can upload data sets and start having a little bit of a play around with AI. It uses just a subset of the many different aspects of AI that they have available on a subscription basis. But if you're curious and you want to have a play, I thought I'd let you know that there's something out there that you can actually get some hands-on experience with and just see what it's like and experiment yourself. And one area where AI is already having an impact on businesses, and a lot of businesses around the globe are rolling it out, is with chatbots. Do you have any chatbots here? Not yet. Okay. So the key to using a chatbot, especially if you have a web-based chat, is you need to have a really good data set of customer interactions, whether it be with a web-based interface or with your call center conversations recorded, because that's what you're going to use to feed the AI through either machine learning or deep learning techniques. One company in Australia that has deployed an ecosystem of chatbots or customer bots is AMP. And they have 4 bots that they've deployed. The first is called Chatbot, and they're using it to have customers literally be able to ask questions that they would have asked to call center operators, but through an online interface, text right now, but someday it might be voice. And they're able to handle, I think it's about 15% of their customer dialogue, last time I checked, was being handled through the AI. When the AI gets to a point where it doesn't know the answer to something, it hands it off to a human. And it's constantly being trained on new aspects of things. Another bot that they're using is what they're calling a delegator bot. So what this bot does is once a ticket comes in, so there's a customer issue that needs to be resolved, it then looks at what's in there and sends it off to the right department. And it's not 100% accurate, not yet, but it will continue to learn, but it speeds the process up. And then there's an actioning bot. And this is where it's really coming into its own. So once you get to the right department, you then have to start taking specific measures to fix things. And they're doing this either through APIs, application programming interfaces, or command line interface hooks. And they're able to literally lower the time that it takes to resolve issues from something like 7+ hours down to about 5.6 minutes. That's a massive amount of time reducing the turnaround to solving a problem. And then the last way that they're using it is to help their executive team gain insights into the things that are happening with their customer base and the kinds of conversations that are happening. So it's a really cool example of how you can use technology to drive customer satisfaction. One of the new jobs of the future that I think is actually ready for deployment today, and it's still a new one because chatbots are just being rolled out, is actually a chatbot conversation engineer. Because as you start having these machines or bots talking to your customers, you want to make sure that they're communicating in the same way that a human would be communicating with your customers. And as you roll out new products and services, that communication will change and the products will change, and you'll need to be constantly tweaking and revising things and keeping an eye on the kinds of conversations that the bot is having with your customers and making sure that they're congruent with the messages that you want to send and the products that are on your current product portfolio. Another major aspect of artificial intelligence is voice. How many of you have devices that you talk to in some shape or form? Phones, maybe? Yep. Or how many of you have an Alexa or Google Home? Yep. Okay, quite a few of you. A lot of early adopters here. Well, I think today's kids are going to grow up expecting to talk to everything. And if something doesn't talk back to them, they're going to be really perplexed. It's just like kids go to phones and things, and they expect to be able to touch things and have the screen interface with them. Well, here's a funny story about Alexa. There's an African gray parrot named Rocco up here, and he is a fantastic mimic of his owner's voice. And he has developed a love affair with Alexa, because what he discovered is that when imitating his owner's voice, he can order all kinds of treats from Alexa. So he orders broccoli and watermelon and raisins and you name it. And then he's also discovered that he can have conversations with Alexa and Alexa will talk back to him. So Alexa and Rocco talk back and forth all day. Can you imagine somebody looking at this conversation and trying to figure out what's going on? And not only that, he discovered that he can get Alexa to play music. And this particular parrot loves rock and roll. So when she gets home at night, his owner, Marion, comes in and she finds Rocco rocking out on top of the Alexa. And she then has to check her shopping list to make sure that he hasn't ordered anything that she doesn't actually want delivered. And every night comes home and has to delete the things that Rocco has ordered that he wasn't supposed to order. But voice really is going to be an important part of our lives in the future. Another major way that artificial intelligence is being used in business is with CRMs, customer relationship management systems. How many of you are involved in using a CRM? Any of you? Or how many of you are supposed to be involved in using a CRM? And believe me, it's really funny when I talk to audiences around the world, and I ask how many use a CRM, I get a whole bunch of hands raised, with all different vertical industries. And then I say, how many of you have staff that enter all the information that they're supposed to? And then all the hands go down. And then everybody sort of chuckles and laughs. And I said, well, you know what? You're not alone. Worldwide, not just in Australia, but worldwide, CRMs are rolled out, but very few people actually enter all the information that they should. But if you start to enter information about your clients and the situations, and you integrate other tools into your CRM, then you can start to add in artificial intelligence to derive insights. So step one is to make sure that you've got the CRM deployed and that you're entering the information. Step two then is the AI is then able to start giving you predictive insights based on, say, email integration, where it can pick up sentiment of a client is not happy, or a deal is in jeopardy, or some other thing that is giving you a bit of an early warning system where you can then, based on the information that you're putting in, get proactive, reach out, and fix the situation before it's too late. And then the third stage is actually prescriptive information, where, again, you start getting this sentiment information, and you need to take action, and then the AI will say, this is what you should do to rescue the situation, ABC, based on analyzing all kinds of data, either from your data set or other customers' data sets. So it's going to be a really important part of a lot of businesses. AI is being used by many, many different industries in sales and marketing. And it's all about personalization. It's really important. So in this example here, I've chosen a picture where we've got a young man. He's obviously well dressed. He's in a mall, and he's got a mobile phone. Now, he's in the right place, right time, right situation to get an ad about the kind of shirts that he might like to wear that happen to be sold in a store that's about 20 meters from where he's standing, and they have his size in stock. And he gets a message on his phone that tells him, hey, your favorite brand is in this store right here. What do you think the chances are that he might go down to that store that's just a few meters away from where he's standing and pick up a shirt that happens to be his favorite brand? Pretty high, right? Right place, right time, right information. In the banking world, Royal Bank of Scotland is using AI to help out when it detects that people have an overdraft problem that's a continuing issue. So it's not just a one-time thing. It's happened multiple times, and what happens is the AI then notifies their personal banker to then call them up and say, hey, I've noticed that you've had a couple of overdrafts. Let's have a chat about what's going on with your situation and see what we can do to assist you. So it's the AI being an assistive technology in the banking world to actually help a situation where a client might be in trouble or might be using the wrong product, and get the human involved. Another example is from Air Canada, where they have an AI that's looking at how people work and use their website and their mobile interface, and it's streamlining the user experience and based on how people interact with different types of sections of their websites. Another example is from the Dorchester hotel chain, where they get thousands and thousands of guest reviews every single month, And for the management team to read through thousands of reports a month is just not going to happen. But what the AI does is it reads through them and then distills it down into a 30-minute video that the executive team can read about the different brands in the Dorchester suite of hotels. So again, it's about taking massive information and starting to condense it down to where we humans can absorb and understand the key points. An example of AI being used in marketing is from a lingerie company called Casabella. And they had decided to use an AI called Albert to help them with their digital marketing, because they felt that they were spending a lot of money on digital ads but not getting a really great return on investment. So they thought, you know what, let's try something new. This company, Algorithms, has this AI called Albert, and they claim to be able to help with getting a better ROI. So they let Albert start placing their ads, and very quickly Albert determined that lingerie ads that had pictures of people in the lingerie actually had a better response rate than pictures of the lingerie by itself. So it then went and asked them to give it more collateral, more pictures of people wearing lingerie. The end result was that in a few months, they tripled the return on investment in digital advertising and expanded their customer base by 30%. Now, to me, that's a pretty good bottom line return on investment. Another aspect of AI that will impact many businesses is something called robotic process automation, or RPA. Have any of you heard of that? So yes, a few of you, probably from the technology group. Anything that you can do with a keyboard and a mouse, you can automate. You know, it's something that computers are very good at doing and AI is good at doing. An example of this is an analytic engine called Kira, and it's used for due diligence. And it's taking out the boring bits of a job of looking at contracts when you're about to do a merger or an acquisition. So when you do these kinds of deals, there are always clauses for termination and force majeure and, you name it, that are your standard boilerplate that you want, but there are lots and lots of these contracts. And what Kira as a due diligence engine is able to do is scan through these massive numbers of contracts and see where the deviations are, and then literally show humans who are involved in the deal making where the deviations are so that they can quickly hone in on the things that require human judgment instead of reading through thousands and thousands of pages of rather boring documents. So it's a way that you use it as an assistive technology, and in my view, that's the best way to roll it out, where you're taking the boring bits and you're letting people do the stuff that's fun and interesting and needs our intellect. Another use of AI, similar in nature to RPA, is in recruitment. And here, Hayes in Australia has invested in developing an AI that's helping their recruiters. So in the recruitment process, what happens is a consultant will maybe have a job that's for a project manager, and they'll type in a keyword, project manager. And then they have to, they'll get a list of candidates. But then they know, well, there are other jobs like senior project managers or change managers or others that have similar skill sets, and they'll have to go through that same process again and again and again. So what they've done is they've automated that process so that they've built up this database and ontology of how different job skills relate to each other, so that a recruiter can enter the job description, and then the AI can help them find the short list of candidates with different skills, maybe from different industries, very quickly. And then they can spend their time looking at the softer skills like culture fit and the employment history and the candidate's personality and how that might fit in with that particular client. So it's a good way of actually freeing up humans from doing boring, repetitive stuff, by literally letting the AI help them to achieve their mission faster. And you identify better candidates, you have a wider pool that might fit that particular job description, and you're focusing in on the things that us humans are really great at, which is identifying those softer skills. Facial recognition is another very important part of AI, and it's being used for a whole range of different purposes, including biometric identification, particularly in the financial sector, but also for security as well. A lot of different applications. The thing to be aware of, though, is that the bigger the database gets, the more likely it is that there may be false identification. So you still need to have, some sort of human in the loop to be able to take into account that you could have some false identifications. But another exciting part of what an AI can do, in many cases much better than a human, is identify emotions. Is there anyone here looking at this picture of this young man, this montage, that can identify every single one of his emotions? I can't. And I've asked this question of audiences around the world, and no one has ever raised their hand. Imagine if you had a pair of augmented reality glasses on, and the AI was literally interpreting the expression on someone's face as you're talking to them. So imagine you're having a discussion with a client, and you're getting an AI feed that says, he, she doesn't understand what you're talking about, they're upset, they're distressed, whatever the emotion is. Or maybe it's with your partner, or maybe it's with a colleague. But having that kind of extra information can be really useful. We're going to see robots in lots of shapes and sizes doing all kinds of different things. I've got a little montage here from different industries, starting in the upper left corner, a construction robot called SAM, for semi-autonomous mason. It's out of the US, and I started tracking it a number of years ago. When I first started looking at it, it was laying 1,000 bricks per day, compared to human masons that were able to lay, top mason, maybe 700 bricks today. As of late last year, it was able to do 3,000 bricks per day, but still needing some human help to do the finishing touches. Here in Australia, we have a robot called Hadrian X that beats the pants off of this one. Hadrian can do 1,000 bricks per hour. Isn't that fast? In warehousing, we're seeing lots and lots of robots. In fact, Amazon just recently had talked about the fact that they have over 200,000 robots in warehouses. But interestingly, in the warehousing side of Amazon, they've been increasing their human staff at the same time. So they're increasing both. So it's not a replacement, it's actually augmenting. And the two are starting to work together as sort of cobot workers. We're starting to see robots in restaurants. This is a restaurant in China. You walk in, you're greeted by a robot. Back in the kitchen, they've got robots that are doing stir frying and making dumplings. And then when your food is ready, a robot will wheel it out to you and deliver to your table. And the reason that this restaurant owner decided to roll out this robot was because of his teenage daughter, who's like, Dad, I don't want to do any housework. Why don't you design a robot to do it for me? And well, he didn't design it himself. He actually found a robot company and decided to use it in the restaurant. And last but not least is an example from a hardware store in the United States, in San Jose. It's Orchard Hardware, and it's Oshbot. So you walk into the hardware store, and let's say you need a widget that looks like this. And I don't know my way around hardware stores. And I might go up to this robot and say, I need one of these, and it'll 3D scan it, and on its faceplate it'll give me a selection of images that match what it scanned, and I'll say, I want that one, and it'll wheel me over to exactly what shelf it's on, and on its back plate, it's got a digital advertising board, and it's advertising to people who are walking behind the robot. That's just one example. A really exciting new area is something that I've been calling robots as a service. So these are pictures of a robot called Pepper that comes out of Japan. Well, actually, it comes out of France, but it's now owned by SoftBank in Japan. It was designed by a French company called Aldebaran. And they came out with it probably 3-4 years ago now. And they offer it on an as a service basis as well as just a straight buyout. But I'm starting to see Peppers and companion type of robots in a lot of different industries. So there are robots that have been deployed in banks to greet customers in Japan. There are robots, Peppers, that have been used in Queensland, in Townsville, doing a trial late last year, helping sick patients and entertaining sick children and greeting people in the hospital. A couple of years ago, I was at a trade show and I was talking to an energy company's Pepper, and I started talking to it in English, and then it sort of ran out of its English vocabulary that it had been taught and started talking to me in French, and my French is only very limited, so I didn't have a very long conversation with Pepper, but electricity companies are rolling it out. Hotels are starting to roll out these companion robots. We're starting to see them all around. From a banking perspective, what's interesting is this is a new asset class that you will be leasing out, or making loans for your customers. Just today, think about the kinds of car loans or other equipment loans that you do. So you will probably have these either robots sold straight out or on an as a service basis as one of the things that will be in your portfolio in the not too distant future. Another robot that is offered on an as a service basis is rolling out at the very end of this year, beginning of next year. And it's a robotic exoskeleton from a company called Sarcos Robotics. It's called Guardian Max XO. And it's designed for occupational safety and hazard purposes, but it basically gives a worker superhuman strength. It's able to lift up to 200 pounds, so about 97 kilos, but 100 pounds feels like 5 pounds when you're lifting it. And to use this robot, it's got all kinds of sensors built into it, so it's able to sense what your muscles are doing. You don't have to stick anything on your body, and it's literally helping people lift heavy packages without them damaging their back or their knees or other body parts. Again, it's a really cool new asset class and the sort of thing that you're going to start to see more and more of. One of the more interesting aspects of robotics is that there are many people who think that the best way to train an AI is to actually put it into a physical body like a robot, but we still have to train it. We need AI trainers. But there's another way, and that's through imitation learning. There's a company called Kindred AI that has a robot that is controlled by humans in virtual reality suits, like the movie Avatar, where you've got telepresence, and the motions that you make are the motions that the robot makes. And this isn't science fiction, this is science today, commercial product. And literally, humans in virtual reality are teaching the robot the difference between picking up a piece of cloth, or picking up a delicate vase, or picking up a bulky package. So this is a robot that was designed for warehousing, but you can imagine how many different kinds of robots are out there where you could actually have humans that are robot trainers as a new job category, literally showing the robot how to do things. And this will continue to change all the time. There'll be all kinds of new robots invented and all kinds of new things that they'll need to be taught to do. It's a new job of the future. And this is just one of the first instances of where we'll see it roll out. Now, one of the questions that people ask me all the time is, how smart can AI get? And my view is I would not put an upper limit on it, because frankly, our computing power is growing all the time, And the more computing power we have, the better the chance that the AI is going to get smarter and smarter. And we're starting to see this exponential curve going like this already. There was a convention of AI researchers about 2 years ago, and the question that was posed to the researchers was, when do you think an AI will achieve human-level intelligence, what they might call general AI as opposed to very narrow task-focused AI? Half of the researchers in the room thought it was conceivable that it could happen between 2030 and 2040. But 90% of the researchers thought that it could happen by the year 2075. So the question is, when will it happen? And I think it may even happen a little bit sooner because of some recent developments in quantum computing. Are any of you following what's happening in the world of quantum computing? Yeah, a couple of people. Yeah, we've got some tech people here. Have you heard of Nevin's law? Yeah, a couple of you. Okay, so let me explain this. You've probably heard of Moore's law, where processing power doubles every 18 to 24 months or so. Well, what's been happening at Google's AI and QC lab is that they have discovered that the quantum computers are doubling in processing capability every 9 months. And this was at the beginning of this year, and it's called Nevin's Law after one of the researchers who's discovered this. At the very beginning of the year, they were able to have like laptop computers that could imitate what the quantum computers were doing. A few months later, they needed to have basically the power of a supercomputer imitating a quantum computer to be able to meet the processing power and speed of their quantum computing, and they're predicting that by the end of this year they might not have any normal computers that can actually get to that kind of speed. If this continues on that kind of trajectory, then the chances of AI becoming much smarter, much faster, obviously accelerate as well. So it's still a very new science. We don't know if that trend will continue or whether it will fizzle out, but it's something to factor into how smart might AI get. So what does that mean for jobs of the future? Well, there's still lots and lots of jobs that we will be doing. Lots of them. Some of them will be new. I think that in the executive suite, what we're today calling human resources will change to be called head of human and robotic orchestration. It'll be the new HR. We'll be deciding, where do we use people? Where do we use software? Where do we use physical robots? And how do we get these different aspects to best work together as part of a team to achieve our goals? But along with this, it's not just about where do we use different kinds of bots or people. It's about how do we change our organizational thinking to be an agile organization, because we're getting lots and lots of data input that's being analyzed very, very quickly by smarter and smarter AI computers, and our competitors are doing the same thing. And we need to be able to move from doing business cases that take 6 to 12 months to being able to do a business case in days or weeks and be able to start changing. So part of this role is all about organizational agility as well. Another really important aspect of deploying AI or robots into an organization is ethics, and there are a lot of ethical considerations around these technologies, and I think there will be a new C-suite position, the other CEO, the Chief Ethics Officer, that won't be just one person, it'll be a team of people. So when it comes to AI, there are so many ethical issues. So to give you an example, what you may not know about AI, especially with deep learning, the bigger the neural network gets, the less obvious it is how the AI reached a decision. So you have these inputs, maybe terabytes or exabytes of data coming in. You've got these really, really big neural networks, and then you've got the outputs coming out. And the AI researchers don't know exactly how the AI is making the decisions. So one of the things that you're going to need to have are humans that are looking at the inputs, looking at the outputs, and making sure that they're congruent with your organizational values, with human values, with society values. It's going to be super important. Another aspect of ethics involves driverless cars. So think about this, let's say you've got a situation where there's an unavoidable accident and you've got a driverless vehicle. How do you decide who is the person that gets hurt in an unavoidable situation? Does the car protect the people in the car, or if it's a pedestrian, do you protect the pedestrian first? Or what if it's a VIP person in the car? Let's say it's the President of the United States. Does the decision change if it's a different person in the car, depending on the value of the person in the car or the person that it might accidentally run over? So what do you do when you get these situations where you've got to make these flash decisions? Who is going to make those decisions? Who's going to program them in? Well, different car manufacturers have different ethical frameworks that they put into their AIs. These are all questions that we need to start thinking about because they're going to be part of our future. Or what about unintended consequences? So imagine that you have an AI that's really smart and you want to give it a task to solve, like, here's one. Let's find a way of preventing breast cancer. Let's find a solution because it impacts a lot of people around the world, mostly women. And the AI has to think about it and says, well, the best way of getting rid of breast cancer is to get rid of women. Obviously, that's not the right decision, okay? And that's just an example of an unintended consequence. So we need to be aware of these things, and we need humans in the loop, and that's where this chief ethics officer role is going to come in. And that's just a small smidgen of the things that impact ethics and AI. Oh, I went too far because it wasn't fast enough. What I wanted to emphasize, though, is that even with all this technology and all this AI, the human touch is still going to be so important. We're not going to just give way to machines and say, oh, we don't need people anymore, especially when we talk about things that require empathy and healthcare. So if I were being diagnosed with, some sort of disease, I don't want a robot to tell me about it or an AI to tell me about it. I want a human who's going to hold my hand when I get upset and be there for me. And I think the human touch in so many aspects of our lives is going to become increasingly valuable. Even though we've got all this automation, we must not lose our humanity. But what will happen to humanity? Will we take technology into our bodies? We're already starting down that pathway now. There are a lot of researchers that are already working on brain-machine interfaces, literally allowing us to plug our minds into the World Wide Web or control machinery with our minds. In the first instance, where the research is going is in the medical arena. And that's really cool because imagine that you were in a wheelchair and you needed help in navigating around. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to think about where you want to go and have the machine that might be near your brain or eventually in your brain pick up on your thought that you want to go in a particular direction and take you there? Or you're wearing an exoskeleton, let's say you're paralyzed, and you start thinking about walking in a particular direction, and it helps you to walk. And these are things that are already being developed now. But where a lot of people want to take this in the future is to be able to integrate AIs into our brains for non-medical purposes as well. So can you imagine if you had a chip in your brain or a DNA printed 3D bot in your brain where literally you can think a question and get the answer from maybe whatever the Google of the 2030s or 2040s is? Or what if you needed to learn a new skill and you just download it or stream it? Like, you need to fly a helicopter and boom, Or you need to send a text message or an email, and all you have to do is think it and hope you don't send it off too fast. But what if it auto-completes for you? You know how sometimes you're typing a text and what you thought you typed, your phone changes for you and you end up sending nonsense? What if you end up talking nonsense because the AI in your brain auto-completes something for you and you end up either thinking gibberish or sending something off? So again, we've got these things that we've got to think about, and there are companies that are already working on this, all kinds of research experiments, and I think that in the 2030s we're going to start to see the first real brain-machine interfaces. So let me leave you with one last closing thought that has nothing at all to do with AI, but a lot to do with the future of humanity, and that has to do with genetic engineering. How many of you, a lot of you are young, but how many of you would like to reverse aging? Maybe not today, but as you get older? Well, believe it or not, at Salk University, there are researchers that have been working with genetic engineering and have been able to reverse the age in a living mouse that has progeria and start making it younger. So progeria is this rapid aging disease. And there's a professor who believes that there is a genetic switch that controls our aging process, and that within the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to find this switch and be able to turn it off. And when we do, we will live to somewhere between 400 and 800 years old and look and feel like we're, young. Can you imagine working for 400 years? Can you imagine being married to the same person for 800 years? We are entering such an exciting era, but there are so many fun and amazing quirks to it. Thank you so very much. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey into the future.